It's very worrying. As a community, we're looking at the numbers. The numbers are alarmingly high, and sadly, it doesn't seem to be getting any worse. We look at it from a humane perspective that there have been so many deaths and so many infections, but thankfully the recovery rate is still quite good. But it is very alarming, very distressing, especially for those in the community who have got family in India.
Are you aware personally of any families or anyone that's been directly affected by this situation?
So at this time, I'm not aware of any family members that are currently in India or any community members, apart from one chef, who's actually been there since the last lockdown. So he moved, I think he must have gone just before about February last year, and he's still there now because of the last lockdown and the change, in travel restrictions and the shifting and changing of, travel policy, whereby Indian nationals who were Indian nationals who live in Gibraltar weren't actually allowed to travel out of India. So he's still there. I'm hoping that he's the only one that's there, but 15 odd months and counting nearly in India. So it is quite distressing. We have had a few as well who were there last year, and most of them have actually come back to Gibraltar.
Of course, flights now being suspended between India and the UK. The community is very close here. Obviously, they have family members that are in India, and they are now going to be cut off from them. How are you all rallying together to deal with this?
So the first lockdown in India was last March. There were actually, I think, 8 or 9 families that were there on holiday. So I think it took them a couple of months to be repatriated and to come back to Gibraltar. I know that the government were involved and they were very helpful in supporting them and the efforts to bring them back. At the end of the day, it's a human issue, it's a moral issue. So the government were fantastic. In addition to where we are now, there's one chef. We had one chef that came back, I think 2 to 3 weeks ago, and we were in touch with the Civil Contingencies Committee. We were in touch with Borders and Coast Guard, so all government departments, pulled in, and we got the chefs back, even though some chefs and some other members were rejected to get onto flight because passports were out of date or ID cards were out of date. So there were always some niggling issues, but we got there, I think, save for one person.
Well, it's a real humanitarian situation unfolding in India at the moment. Someone watching this interview might want to get involved somehow to help. How do they do that?
I think we're a little bit limited in what we can do in Gibraltar. I know that there are various funding groups, just giving pages, because there are a lot of people that aren't able to work, and a lot of the Indian diaspora that are living in India are regrettably, make their money and use that money to eat. So there are some people that are sadly, going without food. So looking at what's out there, and in terms of helping whatever locals are there. If someone knows that family members stuck in India, get in contact with the Hindu community of Gibraltar. We will do what we can, whether we have to, with the government links or the links that we have in the UK with the High Commission. We will do everything we can to support.